Do you think that the lockdown in New Zealand was justified, given all of the various, taking account of all the various economic, health, and well-being consequences?
In one way, it's probably difficult to take a very strong position on this because we don't yet know enough. I've written quite a few things where I said that the lockdown wasn't possibly essential for New Zealand. And the reason I wrote these things are the following. One, as you know, the Oxford University Blavatnik School of Government has a measure of this thing that they call the Policy Stringency Index. And according to them, the three countries that had implemented the most stringent policies were New Zealand, Israel, and India.
Mm.
But surprisingly, there is very little evidence to suggest that there is a strong correlation between the stringency index and the number of infections or deaths. My second point is that there didn't seem to be a lot of consideration of the costs and benefits. For instance, I've written articles talking about the difference between identified lives and statistical lives. So the question is, very often we get excessively focused on preventing deaths that are right in front of our eyes. But in doing so, we completely ignored the fact that that action may be creating more havoc elsewhere, right? So this is sort of why we focus so much on terrorism, even though more people die of drunk driving. So my one concern was that the government seemed to be taking a lot of advice from the epidemiologists, whose views seem to be that we are going to prevent COVID deaths no matter what. But in doing so, they were completely ignoring the fact that their policies would lead to massive loss of lives, livelihoods, etc., in other areas. So, for instance, we know that suicides go up quite rapidly with an increase in unemployment rate. Unemployment can increase suicides, and depression leads to loss of lower life expectancy. So it seems that at no point were we considering any of these other factors. And now I think the latest OECD figures are suggesting that we will be very hard hit, one of the most hard hit among the developed economies. I had expected the government to say that, look, here are the pros and cons, but it didn't seem clear to me that the government was considering the trade-offs at all, that this is a tough problem, we're going to lose lives no matter what, so let's figure out what the best course of action. I can't offer anything better than the Benthamite principle of greatest good for the greatest number in this case.